Hey, what is up, guys? Welcome back to the FCS Football Channel, and today we are back with another episode of Premier League preview this week for Game Week 13. Now, before we get into this week's games, let's take a look at last week's results and see how we got on. So, first game of the game week was Brighton versus Nottingham Forest. I predicted a 2-0 Brighton win. It finished 0-0. Crystal Palace versus Wolves was next. I went 2-1 Crystal Palace and it finished 2-1 Crystal Palace. So, ding ding dings for me. Bournemouth Southampton finished 1-0 Southampton. I said 2-1 Bournemouth. It's an annoying one because I remember saying that eventually Bournemouth have to lose. And the one week I back Bournemouth, they do lose. Bit frustrating, but it is what it is. Liverpool versus West Ham was next. I said 3-1 Liverpool. They won 1-0 thanks to a Darwin Núñez header. However, Alisson Becker did save a penalty in that game, which really is what secured them the 3 points. So, Alisson Becker, take your hats off to him. What a goalkeeper he really, really is. Chelsea versus Brentford finished 0-0. I said 3-0 Chelsea. Newcastle Everton finished 1-0 to Newcastle. I thought it'd be 1-0. Man United Tottenham finished 2-0 to Manchester United, of course. And I went for 1-0 Man United. So I was pretty close, but not quite on the money. We then had Fulham versus Aston Villa, which was, of course, was Steven Gerrard's last game in charge of Aston Villa as they lost 3-0 to the London side. I predicted Villa would actually get a 2-1 win in that game. And the final game of the game week was Leicester City versus Leeds. That finished 2-0 to Leicester. I said 2-1 to Leicester. So I wasn't massively far off, but it was another incorrect prediction. With all that being said and all that in mind, what does the current state of the Premier League table look like? Well, here it is. So Arsenal do sit top of the Premier League, having played 10 games. And everybody has now played about 10 or 11 games. So it's all kind of working itself out. And it's looking a little bit more finite, the table. But yeah, Arsenal are top. 10 games played, 27 points, having dropped 3 points in their opening 10 games. That's unbelievable from Arsenal. Man City and Tottenham both are level with 23 points. Spurs having played a game extra over Manchester City. However, it is City who sits second with a plus 23 goal difference compared to Tottenham's 10. Chelsea then are in fourth, having picked up 20 points from 10 games. And then Manchester United make the top five, with 19 points. 1 point off of Chelsea with the same amount of games played. Then looking at the bottom of the table, it's very, very close. 16th, 17th and 18th. Wolves, Aston Villa and Wolves all have 9 points and are only separated by 5 goals. Aston Villa and Wolves, interestingly enough, have the exact same goal difference and point total. And it's only that fact that Aston Villa have scored more goals than Wolves that are keeping them out of the drop zone right now, despite them losing their manager. Leicester City are then in 19th and Nottingham Forest are bottom of the league. PC Ron, I have no sympathy for Cristiano Ronaldo. Absolutely no sympathy whatsoever. He deserves to be dropped. And he deserves what he gets. What he did, leaving that Spurs game early, refusing to come on, is a disgrace. Or was a disgrace. But, I mean, we'll talk about Cristiano Ronaldo later tonight when I do the Premier League preview, the match preview for the Chelsea game. So we can talk about Ronaldo a little bit later on. But now we've got today's game. Well, this week's fixtures. And the first game, the early kickoff on Saturday, is, of course, Nottingham Forest versus Liverpool. Come on. Is there anyone going against Liverpool in this game? I don't see a way in which Liverpool don't win this game, and I don't see a way in which they don't win it pretty comfortably, to be honest. I'm going 3-0 Liverpool. I think Liverpool, they are slowly but surely getting back to their very, very best. They played well against West Ham. While they weren't unbelievable, they played well. Won the game, obviously. Yes, West Ham could have got a draw if they had scored that penalty. But look, they're a fantastic team, got fantastic players. Alisson Becker is unbelievable as a goalkeeper. He really, really is. And I don't see Nottingham Forest stopping this Liverpool machine. I'm going 3-0 Liverpool, and I think it's going to be really interesting. I think it's going to be a big game for Dean Henderson, actually, because he needs to play well, and he needs to keep them in this game for as long as possible, because it is going to be an onslaught for Nottingham Forest in this game. And it's going to be about trying to keep the score down, in my opinion. And Liverpool need to keep winning, need to keep scoring goals, and I think that will happen today or tomorrow. Everton versus Crystal Palace is the next game of the game week. And I don't know how to call this one. I think it's going to be a good game. I think both teams are doing well. Both teams will be fairly happy with their positions in the Premier League table. Crystal Palace obviously up in 11th. Everton would like to be a little bit higher, obviously only in 15th. However, they've played some tough games, Everton. As has Palace. They'll both be pretty okay. Only 3 points separate the two sides. They'll take that, Everton, especially given the troubles they had last season. And Crystal Palace, look, they're trying to kind of match what they did last year. And I think they're doing that fairly well at the moment. It's going to be a tough game for both teams. There's no doubt about that, in my opinion. It could go either way. I think that home crowd for Everton, it does wonders. I think they've got a lot of first team players back now in the likes of Dominic Calvert-Lewin. I think they're going to be really strong in this game. That being said, Crystal Palace against Wolves, they were very, very good. I'm gonna have Everton sneaking it 2-1. But I could be swayed on that one, I think. I could be swayed. But I'm going to go for 2-1 Everton. Obviously, for those of you who are tuning in live, please do get your score predictions into the chat and let me know what your thoughts on the games. And if you are enjoying this episode of Premier League Preview, please hit that like button below and subscribe if you are new and you haven't already. That would be greatly appreciated, and obviously does help to get that sub counter and nice community counter going up and up and up. And yeah, it'd just be greatly appreciated as we move on to the next game, which is Manchester City versus Brighton. And again, do Brighton stop Manchester City? No, they don't. Man City are one of, if not the best team in the league. Maybe even the world. Like, they are that good. And yes, they're not top of the table, Arsenal are. And Arsenal deserve to be top, don't get me wrong. Man City, look, there's a reason why they are by far and away the team with the highest goal difference. 9 more than any other team. And that's because they've got a certain striker called Erling Haaland. And if you don't know much about him, he's an absolute bagsman. Absolute bagsman. The guy scores goals for fun. And when you've got him up top, you've got a Brighton team who even their manager has come out and said they don't know how to score. They don't have players that know how to put the ball in the back of the net religiously and consistently. I think you're always going to go into a game expecting to win. And I think that's what's going to be the outlook for Manchester City in this game. It's going to be about winning the game and how much are they going to win the game by. And like I said, I think they will win the game. I'm actually going to go 4-0 City. And look, that's no disrespect to Brighton, because Brighton are a top team. I like Brighton. I haven't seen loads of them since the new manager came in, but he looks pretty good. I don't think he's on the level of Graham Potter, but he looks like a good manager. And another smart appointment from Brighton. It's about kind of keep getting them playing, and I think they do need to sign players, and I think Brighton's always had a problem with having players that will religiously put the ball in the back of the net. I've always kind of pinpointed that as a problem for Brighton. And I think that's kind of the same now. I mean, that Undav, the German striker, was meant to be kind of the solution to their problems. However, he doesn't quite look that at the moment. So, strikers needed for Brighton in January. But yeah, I'm going 4-0 Manchester City in this game. Then, obviously, this is my team, Manchester United versus Chelsea. Look, we will do a preview later on tonight where we'll go into this game in a bit more detail. We'll talk team news, my predictions for the game in a little bit more depth and what have you. But this game will be really, really interesting. For a neutral, I think it'll be a good watch. Graham Potter, over the last 2 years, he's had Manchester United's number in a sense. Smashed us with Brighton, obviously, opening day this season. At the end of last season, he did the same. And he'll go into this game with a better squad, thinking they can get something in this game. They'll be going into it thinking they can beat us. The league table is so tight. Manchester United know if they win the game, they go top 4. But Chelsea know that as well, and know they need to keep Manchester United behind them. And that's what makes this game so big. Manchester United come into the game having probably put in Manchester United's best performance in about 5 years. Certainly the best game we've seen under Erik ten Hag so far. We were absolutely unbelievable against Tottenham. And if we can bring it anywhere close to a performance like that into this game, Manchester United can win this game. And I like to back my team. Call me biased, but I probably am a little bit. But I'm going to go for a Manchester United win. We're going to go with I'm going to go 2-0. 2-0 Man United, you know. I'm going to back us to get the 3 points because I think we are a good team. And we've proven it against Spurs. Aston Villa versus Brentford. Aston Villa, of course, now without a manager after they sacked Steven Gerrard after their 3-0 defeat to... Who did they lose to? Fulham. That's who they played. I think Brentford win the game. I think Aston Villa are in poor form. Need to improve, Aston Villa. But I don't think the lack of a manager is going to do that for them. Especially for this sort of game against a Brentford team that just got a good 0-0 draw against Chelsea. They're a good side. Thomas Frank is a good manager. I think Aston Villa are in trouble. I'm going 2-0 Brentford, to be honest. I don't see a way in which Aston Villa get something in this game, especially without without a manager. The rumours are they're trying to do everything they can to get Maurizio Pochettino in. I think that would be a great appointment for Aston Villa. I think it's a bit of a weird one for Poch to make that move. Although Aston Villa have a lot of money, they're gonna back him like they did with Gerrard. So it could be a good move for both parties. I do think it's a little bit strange for Pochettino, especially given he was being linked to the United job. He obviously just managed Paris Saint-Germain. Goes to Aston Villa, who, 17th? Yeah, 17th in the table. It's a big step down. Would he be willing to do it? I'm not sure. But like I said, I am going 2-0, 2-0, to Brentford. Leeds versus Fulham is next up. And I think this is actually going to be a really close game. I think Leeds are a team that... I think they're a bit weak mentality-wise. I think you see Jesse Marsh after some games coming out and going, the opposition didn't come to play. They came to waste time and all this. And I sit there and I'm a bit like, what, you expecting a team to come and kind of roll over for you? Teams are obviously going to play the way that's going to best suit them and going to best suit their chance of winning the game. And I think it's kind of telling when a manager comes out consistently and kind of begroans an opposition for how they play. Fulham are going to be hard to beat. They're going to be troublesome. And I think Fulham have a bit of quality. Alexander Mitrovic, I mean, he's a man on fire this season. for Fulham. Andreas Pereira looks an incredible signing for them for, what was it, £12 million from Man United. A player that I was happy to see the back of when he left United. But he's playing really well. He's playing really, really well. And I think Fulham have a point to prove. They're high up in the Premier League table. Where are they? 9th. They deserve to be there. You look at Leeds, they're 16th. Need to get more points. However, look, if they win their game in hand over the teams around them, between 12th and 20th, only Leeds have played 10. The rest have played 11. They win that game in hand, they go up to 13th. And they'll be a little bit more happy with that position. That being said, I don't actually think Leeds win this game. I don't think Fulham win it either. I'm going 1-0. Hello, NG. How are we, mate? How are we today? Next game is Southampton versus Arsenal. I think the Premier League table kind of speaks for itself about who's going to win this game. Southampton 14th with 11 points from 11 games. Arsenal top of the league, 27 points from 10 games. 3 points dropped for the visitors, while Southampton have picked up 1 point a game on average. It says all you need to know about these two sides. That being said, in the past, Southampton has been a bit of a bogey team for Arsenal. Southampton, when they're in poor form, they seem to always somehow play against Arsenal and get a result. Do I think that's going to happen today? I don't. I think Southampton, they're missing a lot of key players and good players, first team players. I think Arsenal will just be too much for them. I think Arsenal are really good. I really, really do. I'm jealous in a sense of how good I think Arsenal are and how far they are on down the road of their journey with Mikel Arteta. And I think that United are getting there. And I'm excited for when we get to the stage where Arsenal are, where they have a defined way of playing, they have good squad depth, they have a team that can really compete, and United are getting there, and I think we'll get there quicker than it took Arsenal to get there. But for Arsenal, I don't think it really matters because I think they had a lot of more problems which Arteta has sorted, as well as that, as well as obviously just getting them playing, I guess. I think Arteta deserves so much credit, especially given the way the media has kind of attacked him throughout his tenure at Arsenal. He deserves loads of credit for what he's done there. And I think he does get the 3 points today for Arsenal against Southampton. I'm actually going 3-0. As usual, United decided to play the match of the season when I didn't have time to tune in. You missed out on a great game. You missed out on a huge, really, really good game. It was quality. United, best performance for years from United. Would you rather Man City get a three-peat or Arsenal winning the league? Arsenal win the league. I think I'd rather have Arsenal win the league. We've got quite a lot of games left. I thought it was coming to the end. George, why would I rather Arsenal win the league? I'd rather Arsenal win the league because, I mean, while I don't care about Man City particularly winning the league, like, I would rather Man City win it than Liverpool. But it just gets a bit boring. Like, it's a boring just seeing City win it every year. And I would quite like to see Arsenal. Well, obviously, if the preference isn't Arsenal, it's not Man City. If it was Tottenham, I'd rather Tottenham win it. If it was Brentford, I'd rather Brentford win it. So it's just, I don't want to see Man City win it again. And if that has to be Arsenal, then it has to be Arsenal. Yeah, I feel like the Premier League in a sense gets away with that Farmers League. We look at PSG, Bayern Munich in the Bundesliga and Ligue 1, and we go the Farmers League and one team win it every year. That's essentially what Man City has done for the last decade. I mean, La Liga and Serie A are more competitive than us and at this point. So, isn't it? It's one of those. And yeah, so if I had to pick one team to win it out of Arsenal and Man City, it's the team that's not Man City. Just so we have someone new winning it. And plus, in a sense, from a not bias, but selfish, I guess, point of view. I've backed Mikel Arteta since he was appointed. When there was Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, Lampard, Arteta debates, Steven Gerrard got thrown into it. I always backed Mikel Arteta. I always said I thought Mikel Arteta was the best of the lot, and it'd be quite nice to be proven for if Arsenal were to go win it to be proven right, as if I haven't already been proven right, I guess. But yeah, to answer the question, I'd rather Arsenal win it. But getting back to the actual games, Wolves versus Leicester. Quality game this will be. Both teams needing wins. Both teams in the relegation zone. It's 18th versus 19th. Wolves, they don't have a manager yet. That's an issue for them. I think Wolves still have problems scoring goals. Still don't think they've got that reliable goal scorer. They did sign somebody, but he got injured, which was a real shame for them. Raul Jimenez isn't the same player he once was. Whereas I look at Leicester, I think they've got goals in the likes of Jamie Vardy. I think Aston Dakin can score. Kelechi Iheanacho, while I'm not his biggest fan, he can score goals. James Maddison's a good goal scorer, very creative. Harvey Barnes brings goals as well. I see goals in that Leicester team, more so than in the Wolves team. And I think Leicester, they're slowly but surely starting to put together a bit of a run or a bit of form. And I think that is what will get Wolves. Will get Leicester, a 2-0 win. Any bets on CVG taking over Leicester in a few months' time, Lamau? I don't know what happens with Gerrard from here. I really, really don't. Mate, he'll probably have to do Well, the issue with Gerrard is he took the Aston Villa job, which was meant to be kind of a walk in the park in a sense for him. For him to come in to a Villa team that was meant that the year before were in and around the top 6, top 8. They were underperforming under Dean Smith, or they were deemed to be underperforming, and it was meant to be Gerrard comes in and just picks them back up, and it's gone the complete opposite way, and they've got even worse. And that's with a team that has kept improving, personnel wise. So with Frank Lampard, you look at what he did at Chelsea. He went from a team that was really high up, and he kept them high. Like Lampard did an okay job at Chelsea. I didn't think he did an unbelievable job. I didn't think he did an unbelievable job at Derby. But what you can say is he didn't particularly make them any worse. Lampard. Maybe he didn't get the best out of them, but he didn't make them any worse. He got the kind of the minimum out of that group of players, which meant he had kind of a bit of ground and a bit of status to say, look, I don't want to drop down. I want to go to a club like Everton, who, yeah, they were struggling, but realistically, the goal for Everton every season is to try and be the best of the rest. Gerrard has made Aston Villa worse. They are a worse team now than they were under Dean Smith when Dean Smith got sacked. And that was a team that was deemed to be underperforming as it is. Like he isn't getting the best out of that group of players at all, and he's making it worse than the sum of the parts. Which means who and the team who might sack their manager are gonna say, yeah, we'll get Steven Gerrard in because he's proven only that he can make it that he makes teams worse at Aston Villa. So I think Lampard's fine. I think he's fine. I'm not a huge fan of Frank Lampard as a manager, but I think he's gonna be fine. But yeah. So yeah, I mean, I can't remember if I said or not, but I think Leicester win this game 2-0. Sorry, let me catch up on chat. Should Mark Hughes to come back on rotation? When Mark Hughes, I'm surprised he's still in management. Is he at Bradford now? Yeah, he probably should have stayed at Rangers. You're right. Is that the Man United prediction 3-2? I don't think, like I said, I don't think Lampard's going. I mean, hello Nico, hello everybody. Hope you're all right. 4 losses in a row for Everton. Because I know Everton. We haven't. We'll wait till we get to Everton. Everton must be. Oh, we've gone past Everton. We've already done Everton. Sorry. I said I think Everton will draw this game. Their game. Sorry, there's screaming one. Thank you, Nico. Thank you. I think Everton are fine. I think they're fine. Personally. But look, next game, Tottenham versus Newcastle. Let's actually talk about this game. I think it's going to be an interesting one. I think Tottenham, they were piss poor against Man United. They were easily second best in that game. And they need to improve. They need to pick it up, and they need to get back on the horse. I think they will. I think Newcastle are a good team. Don't get me wrong. However, there's a reason why Spurs are so high in the Premier League table. Because they are a good side. No matter what that performance against Man United suggested, they are a good team. However, Newcastle are in 6th for a reason as well. They are equally as good. They are a good side as well. I do think in the long run, Kulusevski and Richarlison being injured and being out will be to the benefit of Spurs in this game, because it will force them to kind of play with that 3 in midfield, which I think will give them a little bit more control in that midfield and try and stop Bruno Guimaraes getting hold of the ball and starting to really play and dictate the play. I think if Spurs can do that, they can stop Newcastle. Eddie Howe is doing a fantastic job. And I think he deserves a lot of credit for that. When Bournemouth got relegated, I certainly writ him off. And he's proven me, and I think he's proven a lot of people wrong since he's gone in at Newcastle. He's doing a great job, and I think Newcastle made a great choice of appointing him. He's doing fantastically. I can't disagree more. No, I can't agree more. Sorry, I can't agree more. Tottenham get down, stop occupying top 4 spot when you get titles. United and Chelsea are very much hot on the heels of Spurs. Both got a game in hand and can go level or 1 point off of them. Looking tasty. Are Richarlison and Perisic flops? I think at the start of the season I said Richarlison would be a flop. Let me find out. Did I? Did I say Perisic would be a flop? Yes. I said at the start of the season Richarlison would be the transfer flop of the season. And that's purely because of the price tag. If you look at a price tag, they spent 60 some odd million on him, and I think for that you'd say, yeah, he probably has been a flop, but I won't expect him to be unbelievable, so he's alright. And Perisic, for a free transfer, who starts most weeks, I don't think he's been a flop at all, no. A win against Chelsea is a big step for us forward this season, and I completely agree. But look, this game, I think Spurs, it's theirs to win. It is theirs to win. Again, if they can stop Bruno Guimaraes from controlling the game for Newcastle, they will win the game. They've got so much quality, Spurs, in the likes of Harry Kane, Kim Min Son. When you have those two together, you're going to create chances, and eventually you'll put one away. I'm going 2-1. No, 2-0. 2-0 Spurs. West Ham versus Bournemouth. I like Mega Almiron. He's done quite well this season, I have to say. we'll keep this one quick. It's the last game of the game week. It's West Ham versus Bournemouth, and West Ham are going to win it. And I'm going to go 3-0. I just, something tells me they're going to get battered, Bournemouth, for the first time really in a while, I guess, since that Liverpool stonking. I think West Ham, look, they're getting better and better. I think they've got a great team, and I think they just beat Bournemouth, who I just don't think will be good enough on the day. Good night, NG, mate. Thanks for tuning in, lad. I mean, it's 4 o'clock. It's 4:30 here, so there's not much of the day left, but thank you. Have a good night, mate, and see you tomorrow, probably, I guess. Have a good one, lad. Bournemouth first to go down. I mean, Bournemouth have been a surprise package, really. They sit where? 12th in the Premier League table. Most people had them to go down bottom. I certainly did. Since Scott Parker's got sacked and Gary O'Neill's come in, Bournemouth have pulled up some trees. They've somehow pulled away from the relegation zone. However, at some point, it's going to fall down. Bournemouth squad, to me, just simply isn't good enough to keep it going. I think they will go down. I think they will lose today, or in this game. Sorry, 3-0 West Ham. And there we go. So there are all the games done. So we will quickly run through all the games once again. If you guys haven't already, please, while I'm quickly running through them all, please put in your predictions for the games in the live chat. Do you think Thomas Tuchel will take the Villa job? Absolutely not. Thomas Tuchel's his position as a manager and status in the game is far too high still. If Aston Villa are to get a manager on that sort of ilk, it's going to be Mauricio Pochettino. And I think Pochettino might take that. I'm not 100% sure though. But they definitely will not get Thomas Tuchel. Tuchel has earned the right to go to one of the top teams in the world when he decides to go back into management. Whether that's if Bayern Munich sack Nagelsmann, or it will be at some big top team. He will not be going to a lower league Premier League side. But yeah, so to run through all the games once again. Liverpool and Nottingham Forest, I've gone 3-0 Liverpool. I've gone 2-1 to Everton. I'm going for a 4-0 Manchester City win against Brighton. 2-0 Manchester United win. A win that would take us above Chelsea in the Premier League and will put us really amongst the pigeons within that top 4 race. Aston Villa Brentford, I'm going 2-0 Brentford. Leeds versus Fulham, I'm going 1-0. Arsenal are going to win against Southampton by 3-0. Leicester City are beating Wolves by 2-0. Spurs are also winning by 2-0, this time against Newcastle. And West Ham will beat Bournemouth by 3-0. Why haven't they sacked... I don't think Leicester should sack their manager. And I think Nottingham Forest, the only reason why they haven't sacked him, I can't think of his name, Steve Cooper, is because of the media. I have no doubt that the plan was to sack Steve Cooper, but then the media was all like, how can you sack Steve Cooper after he got your work? And that's why you got a new contract. And at this point, Steve Cooper won't get sacked this season. And I don't think Brendan Rodgers will. And I don't think Brendan Rodgers really should be sacked. But yeah, that is going to be it from me today. If you have enjoyed, please do hit that like button below and subscribe if you are new and you haven't already. That would be greatly appreciated. We will be live in a couple hours time for the Manchester United versus Chelsea match preview. So please do tune in for that. Make sure you are subscribed and you do have notification bell ticked. So when we do go live for that, you will be notified. And yeah. So yeah, I'll see you all in the next one. Thank you all for watching. In a bit.